Hey guys, wanted to take a few moments to talk about top-down fire, or sometimes they're called upside-down fires. Right now this is currently my preferred method of starting a fire, and I figured I'd share it with you guys in case you were not aware of it and talk about some of the benefits and how to start the fire. So currently right now this is my most preferred method of starting a fire. Obviously there's no right or wrong way to start a fire, but there are several reasons I do enjoy this method. The very first one is it gets the chimney and the stove hot pretty quickly. And what that does is it allows you to get a nice draft. Obviously heat rises, so you start getting that kind of suction and pulling, so you don't end up getting smoke back into your house. Another real great benefit is this fire doesn't collapse on itself. So you get a very clean fire right from the start and it goes all the way through. And I think the big driving thing is once you light this fire, you don't really have to tend to it. You're not having to keep putting little small sticks and chunks of kindling to kind of get this thing up and going. Once it gets going, it just kind of burns itself down. Kind of wait for your stove pipe to get up to temp, shut down your stove, and you can come back in an hour or two and then continue to load up the stove if you need to continue to heat your house. So it does require very little work. So what do you need to get this up and going? Basically you're going to need some nice dry firewood. I'd really recommend using split firewood versus whole rounds because it's a lot easier to light. And then also some smaller kindling to kind of get things catching and traveling downward. And then some newspaper and whatever you're going to use to light it on. Newspaper is one of my preferred methods of getting the fire up and going. Basically what I do is I roll the newspaper from corner to corner into kind of little rolls, and then I tie them into knots. So part of the reason I really prefer the newspaper method, tying into knots, is it stays put. If you ever thrown a crumpled up piece of newspaper on a fire, it usually burns really fast, really hot, and by rolling it up, it burns a little bit longer, and it also stays put, so it applies the radiant heat where you want it. So there's one other thing I wanted to point out real quick before we kind of move on, is kind of the direction of wood. I don't think a lot of people are aware of this, but a lot of stoves, not all, but a lot of stoves are set up where the air comes in the front of the stove and then travels out the, through the back, and then of course up the stove pipe. And by stacking your wood, what they call north-south, it allows the air to flow through, so you get hotter burns, but you also do get a little bit shorter burns. Our stove isn't really ideally set up for what they call an east-west, where you can turn the wood kind of going side to side, where the air can't flow through quite as well. But with that method you get a little bit less of a hotter burn and a little bit of a longer burn because just the air can't penetrate through there. So this method will work for both, but I just wanted to kind of point that out just in case you weren't aware of that. So to get this thing started today, we're just going to do a north-south starting fire, and we're going to just lay down a handful of logs. And then we'll take a bunch of kindling and kind of stack that up on top. I'm probably taking a little bit of a shortcut here today. If I was doing it most ideally, I would probably put a few smaller kind of in-between medium-sized splits in there as well. But we're just going to put down some kind of bigger logs, and we'll just drop a little kindling on it. We're lighting some poplar, which tends to be a pretty easy to light piece of wood. And then like I said, I really prefer using newspaper knots because they just stay put. So we'll throw about 5 of these on top of that. And now it's just kind of opening up our damper. And we'll pull out one match here and we'll get it up and going. So once I get everything up and going, I just generally just kind of crack the door just so we don't get smoke rolling back in the house. And I'll kind of leave the damper and everything open until the stove starts to get up around the 200 mark, kind of right at the bottom of the orange area. And then I'll kind of start shutting things down and getting the stove dialed in. So there's really not a whole lot to it, right? I really prefer this method. You get a really nice clean starting fires. You don't really have to do a whole lot of maintenance to it for another hour or two, and it just seems to work really well for us. Obviously everyone's stove's different. Everyone kind of develops their own method. I just figured I'd share what is working very well for me right now, and with the hopes of helping someone else out. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, let me know by clicking that thumbs up and subscribing. Thanks for watching.